What did the scrolls found at the Dead Sea have to do with disease? It's me. This is my channel. And today we are going to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls. You may have heard of them. They are quite famous. But what most people do not know is that they actually had something to do with one of the most deadly diseases known to man. Not the bubonic plague, not polio, not even COVID. The Dead Sea Scrolls helped researchers learn about an ancient illness that killed millions. First, some background. The Dead Sea Scrolls were a group of ancient Jewish texts written between the last 3 centuries BCE and the 1st century CE. They were discovered between 1947 and 1956 in caves near the Dead Sea in a place called Qumran. For a very long time, these texts were hidden away from the world, tucked into clay jars and sealed with lead. We don't know exactly why this was done, but we can guess that it was because they were considered holy and the people who hid them wanted to keep them safe. One of the most famous texts from the Dead Sea Scrolls is the Great Isaiah Scroll, which contains almost all of the book of Isaiah from the Christian Old Testament. It's pretty amazing because it's the earliest complete book from the Hebrew Bible that we have ever found. Because of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we can actually compare the ancient texts with the versions of books that we have today and see how they have changed over time. But there was another discovery made at Qumran that wasn't as famous but was equally important. Along with the scrolls, archaeologists found a few small clay tablets that didn't contain any religious texts. Instead, they contained medical recipes. These recipes were written in a language called Ancient Greek, and they date back to around the year 250 CE. At the time, Greece was a part of the Roman Empire, and the recipes show that the people living in Qumran were using ingredients like crocodile dung, human fat, and a type of poisonous mushroom to treat illnesses. Today, none of those treatments sound very appealing, but they did help researchers learn about the medical practices used by ancient Jews during the time of Jesus Christ. But that's not all. In 1990, scientists found something really interesting. One of the recipes said that an ointment made with poisonous mushrooms could be used to treat head lice. Head lice are a type of insect that lives on the human head and feeds on blood. Even today, they can be difficult to get rid of. In the 1990s, scientists weren't sure which type of mushroom the recipe was talking about. There were several poisonous mushrooms in the area that could have been used, and they all have a different chemical makeup. So, at first, it was hard to tell if the recipe was actually dangerous. But in 2010, scientists figured out which mushroom was probably meant in the recipe. It's a mushroom called Amanita vernalis, and it contains a poison called phalloidin. When applied to the skin, phalloidin is very dangerous. It can cause blisters and burning, and it can even make your insides start to melt. But here's the strange part. When scientists tested the recipe and recreated the ointment, it turned out to not have any poison in it. The ancient Jews had somehow removed the toxic parts of the mushroom and turned it into something that was safe to use. This discovery was important for a few reasons. First, it showed that the people living in Qumran were knowledgeable about poisonous plants and mushrooms and knew how to use them safely. Second, it showed that the Dead Sea Scrolls weren't just a collection of religious texts, but also a record of everyday life in ancient Israel. And third, it gave us a possible explanation for one of the most deadly plagues in history. You see, throughout history, there have been many outbreaks of a disease called ergotism. Ergotism is a disease caused by eating rye that has been infected with a fungus. The fungus produces a toxin called ergot, which can cause horrible symptoms like gangrene, hallucinations, and convulsions. It's thought that ergot poisoning may have caused the mysterious death of Paul's brother in the Bible, and there have been many outbreaks throughout history that have killed millions of people. Scientists think that the people living in Qumran may have used the poisonous mushrooms as a treatment for ergot poisoning, but they never wrote down the recipe because it didn't work. If that's true, then the recipe isn't a mistake. It was intentionally left incomplete to warn future generations not to use poisonous mushrooms to treat ergot. Today, ergot poisoning is still a problem in some parts of the world. So maybe someday we will find the cure for this ancient disease right here in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've always wanted to go to Israel and see the Dead Sea Scrolls for myself. Maybe someday I will. Thanks for watching.